Good morning. This is Northern Light for Thursday, August 24th. I'm Monica Sandreski. Todd is away for the rest of the week. One of the latest challenges to New York's retail cannabis licensing rules is going before a state Supreme Court judge tomorrow. Court challenges have created big roadblocks for potential sellers.
I'm opposed to anything that puts us versus them, us being one social equity group against another.
Also, public transit is tough in the North Country. A series of special bus trips to the farmers market this summer helped seniors in St. Lawrence County learn how to use the public bus system.
Seniors are still not quite sure how to use it, and even to medical appointments, seniors are struggling to get transport to those.
Also, many of us had pandemic projects for the town of Peru that was starting a weekly farmers market.
I look forward to this day like Christmas. I really do. I love it. My friends stop by. It's just a fun day.
And we'll introduce you to NCPR's newest news voice as we welcome Catherine Wheeler, our St. Lawrence Valley reporter. All of that and more is coming up on Northern Light. Stick with us. Support for Northern Light here on North Country Public Radio comes from Gray and Associates, CPAs, an accounting and financial services firm in northern New York with offices in Canton, Potsdam, and Spring Hill, Florida. GrayCPAS.com. And from St. Lawrence Health, whose affiliation with Rochester Regional Health means more patient access to specialty care, stlawrencehealthsystem.org. This is Northern Light. I'm Monica Sandreski. A state Supreme Court judge will hold a hearing tomorrow on a challenge to New York's retail cannabis licensing rules. The challenge has brought the state's troubled recreational marijuana rollout to a halt. From Albany, Karen DeWitt has more.
Earlier this month, Judge Kevin Bryant issued an injunction barring the State Office of Cannabis Management, or OCM, from licensing any new retail cannabis stores after 4 service-disabled veterans brought a lawsuit. They said they were unfairly left out of the first round of licenses that were awarded. They argue that according to the 2021 law which legalized adult use of recreational cannabis in New York, the first retail licenses were to go to people convicted of a marijuana-related offense, veterans who incurred a disability due to their war service, minority and women-owned businesses, and financially distressed farmers. The veterans say OCM diverged from that statute when they set up rules that limited the first round of licenses to people with previous marijuana-related convictions. Judge Bryant agreed. He ordered that all new retail licenses be put on hold until that case is decided. Opponents of the lawsuit include Aspert Odunya. He's a retired Marine and a service-disabled veteran who runs a cannabis delivery service in Queens. His business partner was convicted of a marijuana-related offense during Prohibition. That's how he got his license. He says it only stalls an already impeded process and has a chilling effect on the fledgling industry.
I'm opposed to anything that puts us versus them, us being one social equity group against another.
He says the licensing application process would have opened to the other groups, including the veterans and women and minority-owned businesses, on October 4th. But now that's also likely on hold due to the injunction. The lawsuit's not the only factor that slowed the legal cannabis rollout, and 2 years in, only 24 stores have opened out of about 160 outlets that were supposed to be up and running by now. Many in the struggling industry are concerned. Hal McCabe is the interim director of the Cannabis Association of New York, or CANY. It represents small-scale, locally based growers and retail sellers. He's also the mayor of the village of Homer, which is seeking to locate a retail outlet in the village and in the nearby city of Cortland.
It's unfortunate. This is possibly the worst thing that could happen to the small businesses and the startups because it's frozen them in place. and it's frozen the supply chain.
McCabe says small-scale farmers who were granted growing licenses last year grew 300,000 pounds of cannabis, and to date, only around 18,000 pounds have been sold. He says many are in danger of bankruptcy. McCabe and Odunya believe that the delays will benefit the large-scale operations that currently sell medical marijuana in New York. They operate large, efficient indoor growing spaces. Odunya says if the OCM follows its current rules, then the large companies will be eligible to apply for licenses in December.
They're also going to be winners here because they're the ones that are already operational, and they're just going to be able to flip the switch and say, okay, this half of my store is now adult use.
McCabe with Caney says he believes that state lawmakers, the governor, and even the OCM have had the best intentions in trying to right some wrongs and give the first licenses to people most adversely affected by cannabis prohibition. But he says so much has gone wrong.
We have all the time, all the money, and the market, and the experience of all the other states who have gone before us to lean on. And we've still managed to screw this up.
McCabe says, meanwhile, an estimated 3,000 illegal, unlicensed cannabis dispensaries are thriving. In Albany, I'm Karen DeWitt.
Transportation is a huge issue for people on limited incomes in rural places like the North Country. It's especially hard for senior citizens. St. Lawrence County has been trying to address that problem by improving its bus system, but sometimes the problem isn't that there's no bus, it's that seniors aren't confident about navigating public transit. Jacob Cormanios is with the St. Lawrence County Office for the Aging.
Seniors are still not quite sure how to use it, and even to medical appointments, seniors are struggling to get transport to those.
This summer, the office organized special bus trips for seniors to help them feel more comfortable with public transit. Our reporter Lucy Grindon hopped on one of those buses and brings us this story.
Our first stop is the Centennial Terrace Apartments in Ogdensburg. A few seniors climb aboard, and Sonia Jensen greets them.
All right, I think this is everybody. Welcome aboard.
Jensen works for Volunteer Transportation Center as the St. Lawrence County Mobility Manager. We make one more stop in Ogdensburg.
How are you doing? Good. You look good. You're doing good.
Then the last pickup is at the Sunrise Valley Apartments in DeKalb. Jensen hops off the bus to greet the small group waiting outside.
Are you coming to the farmer's market with us? All right, here's the bus.
I'm sitting next to Henry Jackson, who lives in Ogdensburg. He takes buses pretty often.
A lot of times I catch the bus from Ogdensburg to Canton, and then from Canton to Potsdam, and then from Potsdam to Plattsburgh.
He's a pro at this, but a lot of seniors aren't as comfortable using public transportation.
There's an anxiety that goes with not being the one in the driver's seat.
Sonia Jensen from Volunteer Transportation Center sees that anxiety firsthand.
I think it's just because it's newer here and it's not something that people grow up with. I think a lot of people's last experience they probably have with a bus is the school bus.
Jensen helps and encourages people to use the buses, almost like a coach. She helps people make individual travel plans so they know how they're going to get from point A to point B. And she even personally goes with people on bus trips.
Most of the time it's the first time they ride on the bus, just so they have someone who knows what they're doing. It, again, helps quell some of that anxiety of standing outside and hoping that a bus will show up that maybe you've never even seen what it looks like before. And just knowing that there's someone who knows what they're doing can help a lot.
Getting around is an issue for seniors across the state. According to survey results that the State Office for the Aging released earlier this year, more than half of seniors in New York say their ease of travel by public transit is only fair or poor. The state office is currently working on its next 4-year plan, which will aim to improve seniors' public transit options. After a quick stop for a bathroom break, we all get off the bus at the Canton Farmers Market. Jensen has everyone gather to take a picture and hear a spiel from the market manager.
All right. Yeah, let's gather around the picnic table.
Everybody gets handed a free purple shopping bag, and they all head off towards the farm stands. Seniors often get essential rides, like to the doctor, from a friend, relative, or volunteer. But the farmers market is the type of non-essential destination where they might want to come on their own. I check back in with Henry Jackson. He's at Dan Kent's produce stand. Jackson has been cooking since he was a teenager, and you can tell just from the way he chooses a cantaloupe.
You pluck them, and the most hollow one, that means they're ripe. That one.
John Adams from Ogdensburg buys some of his favorite vegetable.
I'll take a couple bundles of those beets if I can get them.
Yeah, that'll be $6.
For low-income seniors, being able to access the farmers market can mean more fruits and vegetables. Those who receive SNAP benefits get a 2-for-1 spending deal on produce here. Once everyone's done with their shopping, the group sits down for sandwiches by the big fountain in the middle of the park. At one of the picnic tables, there's a man who came on one of the earlier special bus trips back in July.
I'm Jim Gotham. I live in Norwood. I am retired.
Gotham learned how to use the public transit system on that trip, and today he used it to get back to the market.
I was on the one that came from Brazier, Potsdam, and Norwood. They stuck in there. So they give you a schedule, and on your own, you can do this yourself.
He says he likes being able to get out to places like this, and the bus is just $2.
I'm on a fixed budget, so it's good for me.
His trip today was not perfect. He'd called in advance to request a ride from his home in Norwood to a bus stop in Potsdam. The county has a free program called First Mile, Last Mile that'll pick you up at your house and take you to the nearest bus stop. But Gotham's driver showed up late, so he missed the bus. But the driver agreed to just drive him all the way here to Canton. To get back to Norwood, he'll take the bus to Potsdam and then get another First Mile, Last Mile ride. Sonia Jensen from Volunteer Transportation Center is talking him through it. She's in full coach mode.
You're ready? 12:38, but
okay.
I'd say be ready at 12:30 just
right
to make sure. Yep.
I'm ready.
She tells him he may have to wave at the bus driver to get his attention. Then she heads back to the group bus to do more of what she calls travel training on the ride back to DeKalb and Ogdensburg, and to make sure everyone has her business card. Lucy Grindon, North Country Public Radio. You're listening to Northern Light here on North Country Public Radio. It's 8:12. Good morning. I'm Monica Sandreski. Coming up, we'll meet NCPR's newest St. Lawrence Valley reporter. Catherine Wheeler joins us in the studio right here on Northern Light, which is supported by Renew Architecture and Design, offering custom design services from the St. Lawrence River Valley to the Adirondacks. More at renewarchitecture.com. and by the AdirondackExplorer.com and AdirondackAlmanac.com, presenting daily updated news on public policy, environmental issues, and local communities in the Adirondack Park. Music now by Billy McInnes out of Brockville, Ontario. He's part of our Underscore project, which features music, instrumental music from musicians throughout the region on our daily news programs from Northern Light to Morning Edition and All Things Considered. If you're a musician and you're interested, send us an email, radio@ncpr.org. A state agency says there are no alternatives to demolishing 10 vacant buildings at an Ogdensburg psychiatric facility. According to the Watertown Daily Times, the buildings at St. Lawrence Psychiatric Center's Letchworth complex are in a dilapidated and deteriorated condition. The Dormitory Authority of the State of New York, or DASNY, looked into them after they were identified for possible historic preservation. But the agency and its consulting firm ultimately recommended demolition. DASNY says it's important for the psychiatric center to have a campus that's functional and safe, and that the vacant buildings have the opposite effect. Assemblyman Scott Gray told the Times that tearing down the buildings is a much-needed first step for Ogdensburg.
Summer may be winding down, but forest rangers in the Adirondacks are still busy with searches and rescues throughout the region. Last Wednesday, 3 hikers went missing in the Dix Range. A ranger found them later that afternoon in a dense swamp and helped them back to the trailhead where they were met by their parents. Then the next day, rangers and local rescue squads carried a 74-year-old with a leg injury off Bald Mountain in Webb. On Friday, a teenager fell while coming down Algonquin Peak. Rangers helped him and his mother get back to the trailhead. In Elizabethtown on Monday, a ranger assisted a hiker in her 30s who injured her ankle between Bald Peak and Rocky Peak Ridge. And that same day, a 57-year-old fell at Potash Mountain in Lake Luzerne. Rangers and local fire department personnel carried the hiker to an ambulance waiting at the trailhead. The town of Keene's hiker shuttle will return on Saturday. According to the Adirondack Daily Enterprise, the service typically starts in late June or early July, but had difficulty finding staff and a certified driver. The Keene shuttle route brings hikers to and from Marcy Field to the Garden Trailhead. It'll run starting at 7 o'clock Saturdays and Sunday mornings until early October. Another hiker shuttle service operated by Essex County and the state is set to resume in the coming weeks. The State Department of Environmental Conservation told the Enterprise that it'll run on select weekends between early September and October. The shuttle also starts and ends its route at Marcy Field. It makes several stops along the Route 73 corridor. Once a month on Sundays in September, a big grassy park comes alive in Peru, a small town south of Plattsburgh. It's the Peru Town Market, a mix of artisans, farmers, food trucks, and music. It started just a few years ago, but has become a staple of community life in the summertime. Amy Feiereisel visited the July market and has our story.
In 2020, in the depths of the coronavirus pandemic, 2 friends in their mid-30s would meet to walk at the Hayworth Mason Park in downtown Peru. It's a big green lawn surrounded by trees. There's a stream and a walking path.
It was like how we were able to connect with each other during COVID, was just to come and take walks.
That's Ali Webanero.
It's like social distance walking, but together, but apart.
And that's Lauren Prue. They both grew up in this area and live in Peru with their families.
And we were actually like right over there, and she's like, this would be such a great space for a market. And I'm like, absolutely. She's like, I wish we could do that. And I'm like, we can absolutely do that.
A year later, in 2021, they held the first Peru Town Market. There were 17 vendors and a couple hundred attendees. Prue says they were very COVID conscious.
They were all 10.
They were 10 foot tents, 10 feet apart from each other. Everyone needed hand sanitizer.
But it was worth the effort, says Webanero.
I needed community. Lauren needed community. We needed to do something that made us feel
connected,
safe and connected.
And we were pumped. It was such a big space.
So happy.
We were so happy, and it was the best.
3 years later, and the market has grown up. Rain or shine, it happens once every month from June through October. Webanero and Prue still run it with the town's support, and at their July market, there were 54 vendors set up on the edges of the park in a big circle. That's on purpose, says Webanero.
We do the circle because we both have little kids, and we need to just be able to see them at all times because it gets a little hectic here sometimes. But I also think there's something about the circle, it feels really welcoming.
Everything for sale here is homemade or homegrown. Most of the vendors are local. 50-year-old Dina Garvey is one of them. She's from Lewis, about 20 minutes south.
And I am an artisan vendor at the Peru Market, which is the best market that there is. I don't want to tell the other markets that I have a favorite, but this is my favorite.
Garvey's tent is busy. She's surrounded by the hand-painted signs she makes out of reclaimed materials.
Anything that has had a previous life, I reincarnate it into something new.
She's been here since the very first market, and she's seen it grow from a small locals-only thing to an attraction.
I've had people today that are from Mineville and further south, and then people from Plattsburgh and Champlain and lots of locals. So it's a good mix.
The life that the market brings to town is music to Mel Irwin's ears.
I'm from Peru, lived here all my life.
Irwin is on the town board.
The town board has been very, very supportive, and I firmly believe if we want our towns to grow and stay young, that we need things like this to keep young people coming.
He says the market is pulling people here.
And I don't think anybody would dispute the fact that, the restaurants are picking up business, the gas stations are picking up business.
you. Oh my gosh, thanks for coming.
People are pouring into the market, and they're lingering, wandering with their flowers and art, stopping to chat, eating food at picnic tables. There's a real community feel, says Morgan Ahern, a Peru native.
I look forward to this day like Christmas. I really do. I love it. My friends stop by. It's just a fun day.
She and her partner, David Langlace, live just 5 minutes down the road, and they sell vegetables from their backyard garden. Langlace says Peru needed something like this.
It's been really great for us. We love doing it, not just for selling our vegetables. It's really just a side benefit. We just love the community aspect of it.
As more people arrive, the packs of children running across the center of the market grow.
This is what they do, and they call themselves the market kids.
Organizer Lauren Prue says as parents of young kids, they wanted this to be a space for everyone.
Everyone here has brought a dog, or they're walking a dog, or there are kids, and there are strollers, and this was what we wanted. Because this is the village that we want to create for our kids, for our personal friendships.
The final head count for the July Peru Town Market was 1,500 people, the most they've ever had. I left Peru and Webanero wrangling kids and cars. Amy Feiereisel, North Country Public Radio, Peru.
The next Peru Town Market is this Sunday from 10 to 2 at the Hayworth Mason Park in downtown Peru. This story came about because of our Good News tip line through NCPR's Texting Club. If you have a story idea about something good happening in your community, text the word TIP, T-I-P, to 315-978-6277. That's 315-978-6277. You're listening to Northern Light right here on North Country Public Radio. I'm Monica Sandreski. It's 8:22. Coming up in just a minute, we'll meet NCPR's newest reporter, Catherine Wheeler. She'll be covering the St. Lawrence Valley. Then stick around after the show for Bird Note. That's coming up at 8:42. We'll hear about the soft coos and the nuzzles of the crow as they're courting their loved ones. It's adorable, and it's coming up at 8:42. But first, we've got a look at the weather forecast. It's 62 degrees in Boonville, 53 in Tupper Lake, 54 degrees in South Glens Falls, and 62 degrees in Parrishville. We can expect partly cloudy skies today with temperatures rising to the lower 70s through midday. A chance of scattered showers today and overnight tonight with lows around 60 degrees tonight and a chance of isolated storms tomorrow too, with highs around 70 degrees expected. Well, we are all very excited here in the NCPR newsroom because there's a new voice you're going to start hearing a lot on Northern Light and that you probably already have before. NCPR is very excited to welcome Catherine Wheeler as our new St. Lawrence Valley reporter. She'll be based in Canton and joins us now. Hey, Catherine.
Hi, Monica.
How are you doing this morning?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's a nonstop thrill ride here on Morning Edition.
Oh, yes.
But we are so glad you're here. Tell us a bit about yourself. I know you grew up in the Midwest.
Yes, I am a fellow Midwesterner.
Yes.
And I kind of grew up all over the Midwest. I was born in Omaha and lived in Illinois for a bit, but I mostly lived in Missouri, outside of Kansas City. And now that's where my family's based. And I also went to grad school in Missouri as well.
At Mizzou, one of the top journalism grad schools in the country. We are so glad that you're here. Yes. Well, and you come to us with public radio experience. You come to us from Iowa Public Radio and Wyoming Public Radio. What kind of stories did you cover while you were there?
Yes, I can't get enough of moving to different parts of the country. In Wyoming, I created my own beat. I was actually the first Northeast Wyoming reporter they had, and that was about a quarter of the state, and that area of the state is known for its coal mining. It's actually where 40% of U.S. coal was produced at one point in time. And so I did a lot about, how this industry was affecting every part of these communities, including like schools and the economy. And I was a general assignment reporter too, so I was covering fun things and other communities. And I also did a little bit of K through 12 education statewide and statewide politics.
And through all that, really sounds like you got to know an area really well.
Yes, an area I had never been to, never visited, knew absolutely zero things about before moving there. And it was so fun to like build a community kind of from the ground up, because not a lot of people there knew what public radio was either. And so I got to do a lot of talking and like explaining about journalism, which I think is a very fun hobby.
Yes, it's really helpful too. And so we appreciate all that experience that you're bringing to the table here at NCPR. And then at Iowa Public Radio, you are no stranger to the hosting chair.
Yes, I hosted All Things Considered at Iowa Public Radio. And when I wasn't doing that, I got to report a little bit, and I covered a lot of issues facing the LGBTQ community, especially youth, as there was a lot of recent legislation in Iowa kind of targeting that group of people. And so I got to talk with like great kids and groups of people just about what they were kind of going through at the time.
Yes. Do you have favorite stories to cover? Favorite kinds of stories?
Favorite kinds of stories? I think I really simply enjoy talking to people who are passionate about what they're talking to me about.
Yeah.
That is the most fun for me, when other people get excited and will show me anything they want and like just be happy to share their knowledge, because I like to learn. That's why I do this. I am like obsessive about like accumulating knowledge and like having a good time doing it, essentially. But I love covering like fun stories and like stories that maybe get more into like who we are as like a community through like things going on or like issues.
Yeah, totally. And I should say too, obviously you're not just a reporter. What do you like to do in your free time?
I have become a crafter in an unexpected way. I didn't anticipate this would be.
You're surprising yourself.
Exactly. Yes. I taught myself to crochet while I was hosting because I just needed a little brain break in between like the very intense news coverage. Yeah. And I recently have been learning to sew like my own clothes.
Yes, you sewed your own, the top that you wore on your first day of work here.
Yeah, I have to set deadlines for projects. Otherwise, they will not happen, because like a little guilt goes a long way.
Yeah.
In terms of crafting.
Oh, man. Well, and I should say, I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't let everybody know, too, that we have good news. You've literally said you love winter.
Yeah.
It was so great to hear that.
I did feel that was a concern at one point. There was a lot of, do you like snow?
Right.
Do you like the cold?
Right.
And
we just want to know you're prepared. Yeah.
I do. I really have come off a terrible winter in Iowa, so I'm excited for snow personally. I do very few snow sports, but I'm willing to learn.
Well, we are very excited to teach you. Cannot wait to go cross-country skiing together. Well, you've done lots of reporting in your time. And but, of course, how can people reach you if they've got a story idea and they want to reach out to you about the St. Lawrence Valley? How can they reach you?
You can always probably find me about town. I'm always walking a very cute dog. She looks like a small puppet, or a big puppet, I guess. And mostly you can email me at Catherine@NCPR. I am always available there.
Wonderful. Well, Catherine, thank you so much for coming on. That was Catherine Wheeler, our newest reporter at the NCPR newsroom. She'll be covering the St. Lawrence Valley right here for North Country Public Radio, and you'll be hearing her voice on the air a lot very soon. That is it for the show for the day. Morning Edition continues in just a couple of minutes. Then it's the Marketplace Morning Report coming up between 8:51 and 9 o'clock, where you can get caught up on all the morning's business news. Keep up with NCPR throughout the day on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Also send us an email, news@ncpr.org. Theme music by Danny Thomas and Monica Sandreski. Have a good morning.